On a cold and snowy Thursday morning, it is the Bull and the Fox here with you at Bet Rivers. And our new time every Thursday at 9 a.m. starts late. We start at 9:02 because I was a slacker and it took me way longer to get through the snow than I expected. Thankfully, I am moving back into my house, which means I won't have to drive to get to the studio in 9 days. So living out of my house for 5 months is finally coming to an end. But excited to be here after a nice vacation and excited to see you, Dustin, and a lot to get to. You know, free agency is less than a month away in the NFL. Did you realize that?
Yeah, sort of had that on the horizon.
Yeah.
Haven't really like dove too much into it because we've been
Yeah.
talking so much about the Browns, prospects of drafting a quarterback or
Yeah.
whoever they will end up taking at the top of the first round. So
Yeah.
it's going to sneak up on us real quick, though.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It happens quickly, and it's all part of the same plan, right? Like whatever your plan is, especially if you're picking it too, like the Browns, and whether if the Browns at this point are thinking about drafting a quarterback at 2, which will be the conversation for the next 2 months, whether it's Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, if you think they both might be there, or if it's just Shedeur Sanders, if you think Cam Ward's going to be gone, or you're thinking about drafting a quarterback in round 2 because you don't like either of these quarterbacks enough to draft them at 2, that's always going to play a factor into what you might do in free agency. So, for example, if the Browns are going to draft, say, Shedeur Sanders at 2, well, then they're less likely at the start of the season and the offseason, technically in March, to make a bigger move. Like, could they trade a first-round pick for Matthew Stafford? Could they want to go get Kirk Cousins or whoever you think the top of the free agent / trade market is? Well, you're not going to do that if you're drafting a quarterback at 2. But if you're not going to draft a quarterback or you're going to draft a quarterback later, that's definitely factors into the plan. So your thoughts, at least initially, on what you might do in the draft is definitely going to factor into free agency when it starts in a few weeks.
It's interesting. We talked about this yesterday. You were off on UCSS, but
Yeah.
like, is there a chance that the Browns could just say screw it and try to trade with the Titans to have the number one pick going into the draft, so that who you're going to be able to get, guaranteed no matter what, and it wouldn't take much. I don't know if Tennessee would do it. It hasn't happened very often where teams have flipped from 2 to 1,
Right.
but 3 to 1 has happened. 4 to 1's happened quite a bit. I thought it was fascinating because the Browns just from like a peace of mind standpoint could have the number one pick and be like, yeah, we can just take either Cam or Shedeur, assuming that the Tennessee is cool with giving that to the Browns. Is that something that would even cross your mind?
I, I think it's unlikely, but I would not rule it out completely. No, because if the Browns are convinced internally that Cam Ward is significantly better than Shedeur Sanders, then and if you're worried that the Titans are going to draft Cam Ward, which is obviously entirely possible, well, yeah, I think you'd make a call to the Titans potentially because maybe you never know what another front office is thinking, but maybe the Titans are not as sold one way or the other. Maybe they think it's pretty close between the
Yeah,
two.
you don't want someone to leapfrog you at 2 to get your guy
Exactly.
if you're in love with one of these players.
That's right. So if you're the Browns, yeah, I mean, what do you have to give up to get that one spot? Do you have to give up your second round pick? Do you have to give up
No, it wouldn't be that
not
much.
even that
I
much?
mean, we went through the trade value chart.
Yeah.
It's not 100% accurate, but it gives you a ballpark idea,
Okay.
like of what the pick's worth. I think pick one's worth like 3,000 points. Pick two's worth like 2,700. So obviously you'd swap those two picks. You'd have to make up the difference of 300 something points. Like a fifth round pick is worth like 300 ish,
Yeah,
350.
I think you'd have to go
So
over
it'd
the
be
number probably.
no, I think you would too. But like
Yeah.
I'd give up to guarantee the quarterback that the Browns, if I'm the Browns, that you have to have. Yeah, I'd give up a third if you have to move that
Sure.
one spot, right?
Sure. Yeah, probably that third would be enough if Tennessee. I mean, if you're Tennessee and you don't have a clear number one guy, then it would, for any, for a third round pick, yeah, why not drop to 2 instead of 1 if there's not one particular player you're sold
Just for
on?
peace of mind to guarantee your guy,
Right.
and that way you don't go into the draft and Tennessee sitting there thinking we don't really care what we do with this pick, and
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, the Giants want to trade up, or whatever, so anybody
Right.
wants to leapfrog the Browns, and all of a sudden your player is then gone. You're like, shit, we
Right.
could have just give up a third round pick to
Yeah,
to
because
guarantee our guy. So
right, because if Tennessee's in a position where they're like, we're not sold. Let's say Tennessee doesn't like either quarterback. So they're
Yeah.
like, well, we like Travis Hunter, and there's like 3 or 4 guys we really like. If they drop back to 3, 4, 5, 6, the further they drop back, the more they're going to get in return. So
Oh, yeah.
it could make sense, and maybe the Browns are proactive doing something like that. That would have to be a situation, though, where Tennessee wasn't set on one of these quarterbacks. You see Cam Ward is minus 140 to go first overall. But that's really just based on speculation, not inside knowledge of what the Tennessee Titans are going to do. I would assume.
Yeah. Right.
And so, yeah, I think I certainly wouldn't bet on that happening. But if you're the Browns and you're completely sold on either of these quarterbacks, and you think there's a big difference between the two, and you think Cam Ward's going to be the next great quarterback in the league, then absolutely I would look into what it would take to move up. And if it takes a 3rd round pick, so be it. I do that. Speaking of which,
Agreed. You gonna dine over there? Did you get
right.
something on your trip? What's going on there?
No, I'm fine. I don't know what's. I don't know. I just need some water. I forgot to grab a water. But here's the thing. I got to rip my guy Daryl Ryder. I love Daryl. I love Daryl. I love busting his balls.
I saw you just texted us about this. What's going on?
This is the worst take maybe I've ever heard. Daryl, I love you, buddy, but this
Some hyperbole there.
This is literally no. You're going to agree with me on this. This is because I know you feel the same way I do about things like this.
Yeah.
He said, like, he was on with Jonathan yesterday on the Fan, and Jonathan's wants a quarterback at 2, which I get because I'm, kind of with that too. If the Browns if they're not convinced, they take something else, okay, I can live with it. But I think it makes sense to take a quarterback at 2. Daryl is dead set against taking Shedeur Sanders at 2. Dead set against it. But then he said that if the Browns traded down between 6 and 10, he'd be okay with taking Shedeur Sanders.
Hey, I'm with you.
I mean, I love you, Daryl. I don't mean to. We all have crappy takes. I've had them. You've had them. We all have. But you can't spend the whole day saying you don't want Shedeur Sanders at 2, but you're okay with him at 6. If he had said in the 2nd round, okay, maybe I could live with that. Maybe. But at 6, that's crazy.
I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, even if you like him in the 2nd round, I like him at 2. You know what I mean? Because you just don't want anybody. Yeah, no, I know. I'm being a little sarcastic. I can make
an argument maybe, but at 6, that's crazy.
No. If you want that guy, you get him at 2.
That's right. You don't take that chance.
No.
If you think he's good, if you think he's worth drafting at 6, then you have to think he's worth drafting at 2. That doesn't make any sense. And by the way, the whole premise doesn't make any sense anyway, because if somebody's trading up to 2, they're probably trading up to take Shedeur Sanders anyway. Like who's?
Yeah, most likely. And
right.
if at that point in time, honestly, if you're the Browns and a team calls to trade with you because they want to take that quarterback,
right?
You should be like, thank you for giving us the heads up that other teams like this guy and think he's going to be good, and we'll take him instead.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, why
else?
Would,
100%. No,
that's crazy. I guess somebody could trade up for Travis Hunter, but I just can't see that. That just seems
somebody calls about taking a quarterback. You ask them which quarterback they were thinking about, and then you take them. Period. Try not to F it up.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And things are just listen. All the talk's going to get. We're still 2 months away from the draft. More. It's like, what is it? 9 weeks from today that the draft is, something like that.
It's like the 26th, 7th.
I think that's exactly 9 weeks from today, I believe. So, you got 41, and then I don't know, something like that. A little Bull and Fox math. This could be a struggle at times.
Yes, it is all the time, actually.
But so you're going to hear all kinds of crazy talk between now and then. And, and I just hear insanity like that. And Daryl's going to get upset. I love you, Daryl. I really do. I don't think you're going to watch this podcast, but I love you. I really do, even though you tore my Achilles. But that's just nuts. This is the all-time stupid take. There's the top 5 in the draft. Um, it's funny because for all this talk about, well, there's no sure thing with the quarterback at 2. A lot of people thought Trevor Lawrence was a sure thing when he got
Mm-hmm.
drafted. And in fact, if you would have said to most people before these two guys got drafted, Trevor Lawrence or Jaden Daniels, I think more people before each of those drafts would have liked Trevor Lawrence more than Jaden Daniels. Like, I know Jaden Daniels went 2 last year, but it wasn't like he was the talk of the town last year before the draft. I mean, everybody's talking about Caleb Williams, who went
Correct.
1. And maybe in the long run, Caleb Williams will be a better player. You never know. I think we'd all probably bet against that right now. Just can't clear that throat. But but nobody was going nuts about Jaden Daniels until he actually played. And everybody thought Trevor Lawrence was the next superstar quarterback. And right now, he doesn't look anything close to that.
No,
So
no.
you can't get caught up in groupthink. I know nobody wants the fans and the media members in Cleveland that don't want Shedeur Sanders. To me, with a few exceptions, maybe, it's based purely on mock drafts and rumors. Because who's actually done the work? And I'm not expecting fans or really even talk show hosts. I'm not going back and studying Shedeur Sanders from a scout's eye. I'm not a scout. And so I think I guess I could go back and watch every Shedeur Sanders game. Maybe I should do that. But I don't know. I don't know if that alone gives me enough information to know. The teams have access to the player. They can talk to their friends. They can talk to their coaches. These are things we have no access to. I mean, you've had some access to these things being a broadcaster for college football games. So you have connections, but most of us, and even you don't have enough because, the teams have so much information they can get that nobody on the outside can get, even if you do it. And you have more than most, and you've said you're not sure. So how are the rest of us who have no insight able to know?
Well, because we all just use the internet and read what other mock drafts say,
Right,
and what other analysts who do it for a living, and like the Dane Burglars and the the Kuipers of the world, they're all really, really good, and they watch so much more tape than us, and we trust them. And like, they're not perfect, obviously, but they
right.
get a lot of these right, and they do a hell of a lot more due diligence than we do. So we sort of rely upon those takes, and that's where the group thing comes from. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you definitively that Shedeur Sanders is not going to be a good quarterback in the league, or the answer for the Browns. I just can't tell you that. I can tell you, like, if there's a guy that I'm like, yeah, I don't like. I like one guy. I like Cam better than Shedeur. I mean, I can't tell you that it's a slam dunk that I like one guy more than the other. I think I've maybe watched more Cam, and feel
Yeah.
like he's got a better chance to excel at the next level. I thought Shedeur, faced a lot of pressure. I think he's a little slim to play quarterback. That's it. Other than that, I mean, the guy between the ears, we have no idea what he has between the ears.
When you look at his numbers, obviously he's an extremely accurate thrower of the ball in college, which is a major
Mm-hmm.
positive. I think Josh Allen kind of changed the narrative. Well, I shouldn't even say that. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson both kind of changed the narrative that if you're not an accurate passer in college, you're not going to be in the NFL. I think before that draft, that was kind of the prevailing thought, that that's the one thing that coaching's not going to make better. And we've seen Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, who were both not accurate. They were both, Lamar was a fantastic player in college. Josh Allen, a good player in college, not as good as Lamar. But neither one was an accurate thrower in college. And now they're both very accurate and
Mm-hmm.
very reliable, obviously, in the NFL. But I think it's an advantage when you look at a quarterback that's completing the percentage of passes that Shedeur Sanders is. It's pretty amazing. And the turnovers are not bad. I mean, 10 interceptions. And again, this is a guy who's playing again behind from what what we've all heard, is one of the worst offensive lines in major Division I college football. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they got better last year,
Right.
but the first year was really bad.
Yeah. So the biggest concern with him is his thickness, if you will.
I think, yeah, his size.
Yeah. And he's
But he hasn't been hurt. He hasn't been
No.
hurt.
And it's not like he's not like a run first quarterback.
Correct.
So it's not an RG3 situation where you're like, well, this guy's going to get hurt because he's not big and he runs a lot. And that's not really Shedeur Sanders' game. I mean, I don't know. Listen, I don't pretend to be a draft expert. I'm not a phony about it. I think Shedeur Sanders is the right call for the Browns at 2. I think there's a lot to like about him. And I want to believe that Kevin Stefanski is a good enough coach. And that maybe Shedeur Sanders and Kevin Stefanski, and who would have thought that? Shedeur Sanders coming from a very flashy family, Deion Sanders, and a very buttoned-up coach like Kevin Stefanski. Maybe that turns out to be the perfect combo. Accurate passer, doesn't turn it over a ton. Maybe that ends up being the right fit for this Browns team when it didn't seem obvious before the draft. I hope so, because our fans need something.
Are you buying the hype that Shedeur wants to be a Brown? That he said, I don't know if you saw the clip, but he was playing Madden with his buddies, and he says, "Oh, he only plays with the Browns." It's like he's putting this out in the universe that he wants to be a Cleveland Brown. Do you think that there's a reason why he's doing that? Do you think he really is sold on wanting to be a Cleveland Brown?
I'm not sure. I wish I had a more definitive thought. I mean, I don't think he's trolling. He wouldn't do that. That doesn't make any sense. He wouldn't be like.
That's what I don't think so either.
So yeah, I guess there must be something to it. I know Tyvis, and we'll talk to him about it later today, kind of doesn't like it. It's almost like he's desperately wants to come to the Browns, or maybe Shedeur's worried that he's going to drop on the draft board. But why would he be that worried? There's enough teams in the top 10 that need a quarterback that if somehow the Browns didn't take him, somebody would take. He's going in the top 10 at the very least.
Oh, no doubt.
Right?
100%. 100%.
So there's enough teams that need a quarterback. They're not all going to pass on Shedeur Sanders. I guess it's possible. I just would find it so. Look, you got, here it is, the Giants. Vegas at 6, the Jets at 7, New Orleans at 9. All those teams need a quarterback. Are they all going to pass on Shedeur Sanders if the Browns pass on him? I just can't see that.
I mean, could there be a huge drop? Could there be a situation where Shedeur's available in the 20s?
Anything's possible.
It's just there's so many teams that need a quarterback, man.
I know. I just can't see it. I'm looking for the first team later that could take him. Seattle at 18, Pittsburgh at 21.
Mm-hmm.
Those are possibilities. That's about it. Maybe the Rams at 26. But again, I think it's crazy to think that he would drop all the way to there. I'll be stunned if he goes any later than the Saints at 9, and I think he's going to go 2. Whether it's the Browns or somebody else, I think he's going to go 2. But in theory,
what if the Browns shocked the world,
yeah,
and stayed at 2, and just turned in the card, and it was Will Howard?
That would be a surprise. That would be a shocker.
I mean, any of these quarterbacks that are mentioned, Jackson Dart, who's being talked about as maybe being, sliding into that first round now. Will Howard, who people think could be maybe a second round pick. I don't know. Jalen Milrose is the other quarterback people are talking about. I'm not going to guarantee you. Yeah, you know what? I'll guarantee you because there's a lot of quarterback needy teams.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that one of those quarterbacks slides into the first round and maybe surprises us and goes ahead of either Cam or Shedeur. Would that shock you?
My first reaction was say it would shock me, but that's only because
there's no way that every team thinks it's 1-2 Cam and Shedeur. There's no way.
That's right. The first part of that definitely would not surprise me, that if one of those guys went in the first round. I think I would be surprised if they went ahead of Ward and Shedeur, but I would not be surprised if one of those guys went in the first round, because listen, we were somewhat surprised last year, right, with Bo Nix. That was a surprise. With certainly Michael Penix going to the Falcons. I mean, that was a huge shocker because they had just made the trade for Kirk Cousins. So nothing should really surprise you because it like you said, it only takes one team to think differently. And when you have, 6 teams in the top 9, Tennessee, Cleveland, Giants, Vegas, that's 4, Jets 5, and the Saints 6. You have 6 of the top 9 teams that don't have a clear plan at quarterback. Anything's possible. And if any of those teams don't take a quarterback in the first round, well, I wouldn't be surprised if any of them aggressively tried to get up from the early second round back into the first round to take somebody, especially when, as I just mentioned, it's possible Seattle could be looking quarterback at some point in this draft. It's possible, who else? Pittsburgh could be looking at quarterback at some point in this draft, right? They don't have a future plan, really. And I think there was one of the team I mentioned.
Well, Will Howard, I said on yesterday's show, he's a perfect Steeler. He's a perfect Steeler. And by the way, he's from Pennsylvania, so
I could see that
out there too.
I could see that. And the Rams were the other team I was thinking of that could potentially get in the quarterback market. So you got 6 teams that definitively need a quarterback, and then another really 9 teams.
What's going to happen with Stafford in Los Angeles?
I mean, let's talk about that. Now you brought it up. It's a good point. As we talked about that briefly, I think last week or the week before, supposedly there's a rumor that they would consider trading Matthew Stafford for a first-round pick. And as much as I like Matthew Stafford, he's 37 years old. I mean, he was still good last year. Obviously, the Browns cannot trade the second pick in the draft for a 37-year-old Matthew Stafford.
Why couldn't he give you 4 years?
You think so?
Why not?
I don't see it.
I mean,
I don't. I think there's one Tom Brady.
They could have gone to the Super Bowl this year. They could have won the Super Bowl this year.
They are in the NFC.
I mean, the team that won the Super Bowl in dominant fashion, they had them on the ropes at their place in the snow.
That's fair, but the Browns are in the AFC. And what are the odds?
And Matt Stafford is as talented as all those dudes.
Right, but he's way older than all those dudes. And
I don't care about the age.
And the Browns.
I mean, he's not 42. He's 37.
So you trade the second overall pick for him?
I would consider it.
I would not do it. I'm worried.
The only thing I don't like about that situation is that I don't know if the Browns can pay him.
Well, that's the problem. He needs a new contract. So I think between the contract, the fact that he's 37, I know you're saying it's not 42, but most guys start going downhill 37, 38, 39. Outside of Tom Brady, most guys are not still playing well. I mean, I think you're getting two more good, and he's been injury prone late in his career.
Yeah, but the guy is still as talented as he's ever been, and he's also a Super Bowl champion. So, like, the Browns haven't had a quarterback like that, man.
No.
And I mean, I don't know. It's just something to think about, man. I've been a big Stafford guy since he was in Detroit, but maybe I'm a Stafford apologist. Although you can't really be an apologist for somebody who's really good.
Yeah. No, listen, I don't think it's crazy what you're saying. I think it's a fair argument. And if I could give up the 33rd pick, I might be more open to the possibility. I'm just worried that he's only got maybe one good year left, and even if he gets to the playoffs, I got him. Can he beat Burrow? Can he beat Lamar? Can he beat Allen? Can he beat Mahomes?
Now the one thing that, and this is a big thing. I'm joking. I'm setting this up as a joke. Yeah. You'd have to deal with his wife, man, on the podcast. You'd have to be. Oh, that would be just obnoxious, wouldn't it?
Oh, she's
a lot. She's a handful for sure. For sure.
And
she's a great lady.
And is Stafford, and I guess if he gets traded, it's not in his power, but I can't imagine he wants to come play in a cold weather city at the end of his career.
He's never played in a cold weather city.
But he
I mean,
played
Detroit was indoor.
right, so he's been indoors or played for the Rams. I mean, if you're him, of the teams that need a quarterback, you'd probably, I mean,
Dude, I'd be trying to go to Vegas, man. I'd be trying to go to Vegas if
right,
I'm him.
yeah, Seattle maybe.
Somewhere, stay in the
Although they wouldn't
NFC.
trade him within the
Oh,
division. I don't think.
AFC for
Yeah,
the Raiders. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Be fun to go play with Pete Carroll, a couple of champions, see if you can put something together.
yeah.
You know, make a final run for Pete
I don't know.
and for Matt.
It'll be what are the Rams? And then obviously, if the Rams trade Stafford, well, then they need a quarterback. But who's going to be that quarterback next year if they trade Stafford? You'd think if you're the Rams, you'd want to like take at least one more shot at it this year.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
It's a total hypothetical.
yeah,
With 2 minutes left in the podcast.
yeah.
Uh, if you could trade the number 2 overall pick for one person, would you trade for McVay or Stafford?
McVay, which is crazy for me to say because I've always been the player is more important than the coach. But I think McVay is one of the, there's only 3 or 4 special coaches, and he's one of them. And Stafford's old. If you were offering me a 28-year-old Stafford, I'd say Stafford. I wouldn't even think twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
But at 37, I'll take McVay. What about you?
I love Sean McVay. I think that he can win with less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's so smart, and like he gets it, man. The players love playing for Sean McVay. He relates to them. He's not like he's not like a total players coach because if you're too close to the players,
Right. Yeah.
I think it can be a problem. But I think he does a really really good job balancing that. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. I mean, I'd argue I'd take him over any coach in the league if you factor in the fact that Andy Reid's significantly older than him.
And honestly, dude, he doesn't even need to coach if he doesn't want to. He could just be like, you know what? My life's great. I've won a Super Bowl and I know the game as well as anybody. I've done it all. He could just go sit on TV and do the Urban Meyer thing, man. Make millions of dollars working 10% of the time.
He'd be the best analyst, college or pro, in on TV. Period.
The best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd put him on studio though. I wouldn't even have him do.
No, I agree. I agree. In studio on the NFL, he'd be amazing. He'd be amazing.
Or any of the shows that do the breakdowns. You know what I mean?
Well,
is Orlovsky leaving ESPN? By the way,
I think he is. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know. I sent him a text. I said I'm not sure what's going on, but just wish him luck. So,
I mean, I don't know why he's leaving. Are they forcing him out?
Oh, I'm guessing it's not. It's probably not their call.
Oh, so he's all right. Maybe he's off to something else.
He works a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they grind you there when you're doing all those shows. Yeah, he makes a lot of money, but they definitely wear you out, man. I don't know if because he's got young kids. I don't know if you want to continue doing that.
Right.
Obviously, I was freeing my time up with my kids, and my kids aren't as young as his.
Yeah, that's true. Last thing before we say goodbye, Cavs after the All-Star break. I haven't shared my thoughts on the All-Star game yet, but that's another story for another day. But Cavs coming back off the All-Star break in action tonight. I'm ready for the home stretch. I'm ready for the playoffs. I'm guessing you feel the same, or?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they come out of the All-Star break.
Yeah.
I want to see more of this DeAndre Hunter lineup.
Yeah.
With him in the starting role, him off the bench. We got to figure out what we're going to do with Strus. Like, there's a lot to be excited about. And I think these next few games, now you got Brooklyn here, but then you got the Knicks and you got the Grizz. And both those games, by the way, national television.
Yeah.
So
they have
a lot of exposure. Yeah, a lot of national TV games.
6 of their next 7 games. Well, after the Brooklyn game. So you got Brooklyn tonight, as you mentioned. That's on the road. I think they're like, what are they, guys? I think they're a 9-point favorite in this game.
Ish.
Something like that. Let's see what we got here at Bet Rivers. I think it's 9.5, 9. Of course, my computer froze up on me for a second. Here we go. 13. What am I talking about? 9. 13. There we go. 13-point favorite. Cavs over the Nets tonight. But after this game, as you said, Knicks at home on Friday on ESPN. Memphis at home on Sunday, ESPN. Then next week, they're at Orlando. That's on TNT. Next Friday, they're at Boston. That's on ESPN. Then a Sunday game at home against Portland on NBA TV. At Chicago, that's just local. And then at home against Miami on March 5th on ESPN. So 6 of the next 7 on national TV, including 4 on ESPN. The networks have decided the Cavs are worth putting on TV because they almost always give you a good show. Even when they lose, it's usually close with a rare exception. So, yeah, I mean, but before you know it, the playoffs, we're 2 months for the playoffs.
I can't wait.
I know.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I was talking to a buddy last night. He said, "You think the Cavs can really win the whole thing?" And I said, "I do. I really do. I really do think that they have a chance to win the whole thing. And certainly if they get to the NBA Finals, I'm going to be picking them to win. I think the toughest challenge is going to be in the Eastern Conference."
Yeah. I agree with you. They absolutely have a chance. Would I make them the favorite? No. Boston deserves to be the favorite. They're the defending champs.
But it's 7-1 odds, dude. I'm going to throw down a couple bones on the Cavaliers.
100%. 100%. The Cavs definitely makes sense. Right now, updated at Bet Rivers, the Celtics are plus 175, the Thunder are plus 200, and then the Cavs at plus 800. I love that.
Even better odds, yeah.
Yeah, I
Bet
love
Rivers
that.
got some good odds. Good odds.
Yeah.
Juicy odds on the Cavaliers.
That's right. I'm throwing down a few ducats on that, as you absolutely should.
Absolutely.
And you're right. I feel like if the Cavs get to the finals, they should be the favorites to win. If they go ahead and beat the Knicks, let's say they probably wouldn't play the Knicks. The Celtics will probably beat the Knicks. Whoever, if they beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, they'll be the favorites in the finals, I would think. I know Oklahoma City's been great too, but the Celtics are the favorites for a reason because they have the third best record and they're the defending champs. And so if the Cavs take care of business against Boston, then I would expect them to take care of business against Oklahoma City. It won't be easy. The Celtics, even though the Cavs will have the home court, most likely against the Celtics, the Celtics will be favored in that series. But if the Cavs can win that series, yeah, they're absolutely a legitimate contender. At the very least, you have to say they have third best chance to win it. And you might say Oklahoma City has a better chance only because Oklahoma City doesn't have to beat Boston to get to the finals like the Cavs do. So there you go. All right, Dustin, good stuff today. Again, this is the new time every week. Sorry we didn't get a chance to read your chats today, but we'll do it in the future. Every week, 9 a.m. on Thursday, we will be here live with you in the bullpen. Until the next time, thanks to Z and Tim for producing today. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull and Dustin Fox. Brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.